So I'm not sure if this counts as an art fair 101 or what, but I'm just going to vent here about art fair things. That's what we do here. That's what I do here. So I had a show this past weekend in downtown Chicago. It was my second, maybe third show I've done there. I think I did one way back when. The show I did last year was the One of a Kind show. That didn't go very well at all. I made like $5 more than my booth fee. So this is my second big dalliance into Chicago to see how I would do. Kind of trying to feel if like Chicago's just not my vibe, or if that just wasn't a good show for me or what. And it was also the show where I needed to use, sorry, there's like hair, what? I needed to use my tent for the first time, my new one that I have videos of. And I needed to use it because my old tent was just leaking. I'd waterproofed it many times. It was fairly, I called it my old tent, but it was fairly new. I'd had it for less than a season after placing the old one for leaking. But it was leaking bad. No matter what kind of rain came down, no matter how much I waterproofed it, I needed something new. And that was a whole journey, which was really cool. And I'll go into that later. But yeah, so we get there at 4 o'clock in the freaking morning to set up, which is not fun, but I get it. You know, it's downtown Chicago. You got to close down a whole street to do this. You can't close it down the day before. You're going to have an early setup. And the time it opened was 10, and then it was supposed to go till 10 p.m. Now, the weather that day was kind of rainy, hence the dire need for my new tent, because I saw the forecast and I was like, oh no. And around like 5 o'clock, I want to say, I noticed my neighbors were just closing up shop, which in my experience, which is mostly not a downtown Chicago experience, but it's a general Midwestern art fair experience, that's very, you don't do that unless there's an emergency, right? So like you don't close your booth down early unless you're violently ill or there's like severe weather coming or something to that effect, right? It's bad manners to the show. Generally, you won't get invited back if you do that a lot. And it's also bad manners to the people around you, because if a bunch of booths close up, people won't be shopping at your booth if everything looks like it's closed, sort of deal, you know? Like, you want to keep the experience going for as long as possible. So I was very confused. I almost thought for a minute there was, like, a tornado coming or something that I hadn't found out about. But I asked a couple of folks, they were like, oh, yeah, well, you know, it really slowed down because of the weather. The weather wasn't that bad. It was, like, 65, 70 degrees out, and it was, like, kind of drizzling off and on. We got an actual rainstorm for like 20 minutes. Wasn't that bad. Like, oh, but the weather's really bad. People are coming out. Everyone that's out here is drunk. So we're just all going home. I'm like, are you sure that's a good idea? Won't we get in, I'm sure there'll be repercussions for that. And they're like, oh, what are they going to do? I can do what I want. They're not the boss of me, essentially. And they left. And this was so bizarre to me, because like I said, that is so... In most of the art fairs I've done, most circuits I've done, that is considered very bad manners. But literally everyone was doing it. Everyone was looking at me like I was crazy for not doing it. So if you do Chicago shows, if you do that circuit, or you just do a circuit outside of the general Midwest, because I know Chicago's the Midwest too, let me know how that hits to you, because I was really baffled and I felt like I was experiencing a culture shock. Because everyone thought that was so normal and I was so bamboozled by it. Also, I think my country is showing a little bit, because that weather didn't feel like intense weather to me. But Chicago's the windy city, so I don't know. I need input. Am I crazy? Or is that normal there? What?